Hey, welcome back to the channel, All Things Art. My name is Eric, and welcome back to another installment of What's New? What's new with 3D printing? What new STL files came out this month? What new characters did we get? If you're new to the channel, an STL file is basically a file extension that a 3D artist would save the file as in a program such as ZBrush. This way, us at home can now take the file and print it. Like I say in the beginning of every video, if you do not have a 3D printer and you want something 3D printed, feel free to contact me. If you need something painted, feel free to contact me. My info is in the description link down below. Just hit the more button. With that said, each month I bring you new characters. Every month, these Patreon groups create new files and characters for us to look at. So each month I feature them and review them and let you know what I think of them. So this month, again, we're bringing back Wicked. We also have B3D Zerk or Berserk. This month I like to bring you guys a new group that I discovered, and they're working on some Spider-Man and Spider-Man villains, which look absolutely fantastic, and they go by the name of Epic Props. So we'll be taking a look at them. We have CAD Studios again, or CA3D Studios, and I think a few more. So there's a lot to look at today, so let's get started. All right, our first set of characters in this case is going to be Batman and Catwoman. If you watched last month's installment of What's New, you'll probably remember the end of the video. I left off on this as a teaser. It wasn't ready to be shown yet, but now it is. So this is a Batman and Catwoman dio. You get the two characters together. You'll notice it says 1/6. Like I constantly mention in all the videos, even if it says 1/6, 1/4, it doesn't matter. It can be printed in any scale, either upscaled or downscaled. So don't worry about the scale if you need a different size. But basically, yeah, we have this diorama of Batman and Catwoman. It looks like they're standing on some top of like a Gothic base, in Gotham, either maybe like a cathedral or something. But at the same time, we have a lamppost on top of the base. So it doesn't really make sense that there would be a lamppost on top of a building. So it's a little bit of a stylized interpretation as far as like the base concept goes. But overall, I do like the base. I think it looks really cool. I'm always a fan of any type of like architecture, especially when it comes to Gotham. So I love the way the lantern looks. Be cool to make that a light up feature and try to like add a little LED in there so it lights up. That would be really nice. So yeah, you have the two of them, Batman's, standing there holding Catwoman. Catwoman's looking into his eyes. Batman kind of has that, always pissed off looking face while Catwoman's trying to, sit there and, stare into his eyes and try to love the guy. But, he's never having any of that, right? So let's take a look at more photos. So the next photo, we have an up-close look at them. So it looks like you can actually swap out the base if you didn't want that really tall cathedral base. They give you the option for just like a small platform, which I like. I like that they do that. Looking at them together here, we have a better view. It's an up-close look at them. So again, I really like the pose. I think the pose came out good. Let's zoom in and see if we can take a look, a better look at the sculpt and their faces. So the next picture, we're getting a better look now at Catwoman's face. You can see a lot of the textures within her skin. She's got the the leather suit zipped open a little bit, showing her cleavage. So we're seeing all the little skin textures. The textures on the cowl of the leather looks really good. The hair is nicely, finely detailed with the hair strands, so that looks really good. She has the goggles on top of the cowl, so all that's looking good on Catwoman. She's got some, poofy looking lips. She looks very attractive though. So I'm liking everything I see so far with Catwoman. As far as Batman goes, I'm digging the texture on the cowl. It looks really nice. Let's see if we can get a better angle at Batman. So not yet, but in the next photo we have a better look even more at Catwoman. Her face looks a little contorted, like angled, a little weird, like it's almost crooked. I don't know if that's just the angle of the picture, but that's just my first impression. But we're getting to see a little bit more of Batman, except this time, the back of him. So the cape looks very nice, the way it drapes down. One thing I like about the cape is the cape looks like it was sculpted like very thin. A lot of times I see Batman, you know, capes being sculpted and they make them look very thick, and it just, to me, it looks unnatural that Batman would be running around with like a huge thick cape like that. So I like that the cape looks nice and thin the way they sculpted the material. His, you know, gauntlet looks good. Everything's looking good. You know, Catwoman has the hand wrapped around his neck. Looks somewhat natural. Overall, it's looking good. In our next photo, this is more of like an above shot coming down on the two of them. Again, you know, it's just the same thing. You know, Catwoman's holding Batman. Everything's looking good so far. I mean, I can't really see anything that I have a complaint about. You know, the pants on Catwoman look really nice. You have some nice pulls in the fabric. So let's just quickly go through this until we get maybe some better angles here. Okay, so here's a new photo. Here's a photo of just Batman straight on. So we really get to see everything. First impressions is this reminds me of the same portrait as the Sideshow premium format, the very first one they did. So I'm noticing a little bit of a pattern with Berserk and Wicked, with them reusing some of the same sculpts as the licensed companies such as Sideshow, which I don't like that they're doing that. I think they have some great sculptors, so I don't know why they're kind of like reusing other people's work. But with that said, I do think the sculpt looks good. And if I have time, I'll put up an example of what I'm talking about, because I noticed they did it on last month's files and I didn't say anything. I thought maybe it was going to be a one-time thing. The fact that they're doing it again, it kind of annoys me a little bit that they're, you know, stealing other art, you know, artists' artwork. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess, right? You can either choose to support them or not. But as far as the cowl goes, yeah, it has... It's hard to judge it because it's basically, I'm looking at Sideshow's portrait when they sculpted Batman, but I'll judge it anyway. You know, he has a nice pissed off, determined look on his face. I don't know if it works for this type of concept with him looking into Catwoman's eyes. You know, he looks like he's about to beat somebody up. So the fact that he's staring at Catwoman looking like that, doesn't make too much sense to me. I wish they would have went with a different expression and didn't use somebody else's work. But let's keep moving along. Before we actually go to the next photo, you can see the texture in his suit now. That looks really good. I'm really happy with that. A lot of times, well, not a lot of times, a few cases I see, you know, textures of Batman, and I don't really like the way they do the fabric. I really like the way they did the fabric here. Moving along to the next photo. Again, this is a side profile of Batman. I think it works better here because now we don't really get to see the full expression of his face. It's more, you know, it's just the side angle. So you don't really, he doesn't look so pissed off in this, you know, in this photo from this angle. So that might work. When you're displaying this, you're going to have them looking at each other. So instead of having him like, you know, face on looking at you. So I guess overall it works. Going on to the next photo. Let's see. So now we have, an up-close shot of Catwoman, you know, looking straight on at us. And again, I think the lower jaw kind of looks contorted. It's almost like it's warped, which looks a little funny to me. So I'm not happy about that. I think the lips are a little bit exaggerated with them being a little bit too poofy. I do like the eyebrows. The eyebrows are nicely sculpted. The eyelashes look a little crazy right now because this is a grayscale render. The goggles look really cool. Everything looks great. The cowl looks great. So let's move on to the next photo. Next photo, we have a side profile now of Catwoman. It looks a lot better from this angle. So starting off, I'm not a fan of Batman's expression, you know, looking, you know, face forward. And I'm not a fan of Catwoman's expression looking face forward. But the two of them looking at each other from the side, so far I really like, and that's how it's going to be displayed. So far it's working for me. But again, yeah, so we have all of this different leather texture. The sculpt looks really good as always. Let's see, what else did we get? So those were the grayscale renders. I also have some color renders that I'll quickly go through because it's the same images, just colored now. Okay, so here we go. So I wasn't sure if that was a light at the bottom of the base, but it is. So now we can see it all lit up. You have the lantern on top lit up. You have that, you know, lantern on the bottom of the base is all lit up. So that looks really cool. You know, the way it's, you know, it's basically just a black and gray statue. So, but the way it's painted looks really nice. Let's move on to the next photo. see what we have. My photos are a little mixed up, sorry. So I'm just going to scroll through the photos because these are the same photos. They're just now colored. So let's quickly look through those. Everything's looking good again. And I'll just give you a quick look at these colored renders since we already looked at the grayscale. You know, when judging these photos, I like to look at the grayscale because it allows you to see the sculpt as opposed to what they might have altered in like Photoshop with the coloring. So I personally like to look at the grayscale photos myself. But we'll take a look at the colored ones as well. Sometimes that's all we have are the colored renders. So looking really good. So before we move on to the next character, if you didn't like the diorama, Wicked is actually giving the option to do a character bust or just to have the two of them together. So the first image, we could see Batman and Catwoman together now as a bust form on top of the base that was on the original concept. So this one looks really cool. It has Batman's cape kind of, you know, flowing around the base to end it off. So I like the way they did that. I actually really like the way the bust looks like. Let's see. We have another angle. This one you can see where Catwoman's looking up towards Batman. So like I mentioned on the Dio, I think it works better from the side profile angle with them as far as the portraits go on these two. So you have the option for the two of them on top of the base for a bust. So again, here's another photo up close of the two of them looking at each other. And if you didn't want, here's one more photo. If you didn't want the two of them together, they're also giving the option of having just Catwoman by herself. So here we have a look at just Catwoman on top of a somewhat similar base. So this, to me, I like this a lot better, I think, as far as the portrait goes with her smiling. The lips look a little bit more natural to me. They're not as poofy. I don't know, maybe in the other one she was trying to go for a kiss. I don't know. A lot of times, you know, that could be determined once the paint goes on. So maybe I'm looking at it a little bit wrong. But yeah, it's pretty cool that they give you an option for just to have her on the bust by herself. And here's another look at the portrait. So again, so here's another look at the portrait, but this time we have the other expression with the pouty lips, I guess we would call it. So the eyebrows look a little bit crazy here to me, but I don't know, maybe that's just the image. Let's see. And then you also have the option of having the goggles down over her eyes. It looks okay. The cowl looks a little funny. Maybe it's the angle, the way it's on her head, but again, could be just the angle. So, I mean, not the greatest work in my opinion. I like it. I like the concept overall with two of them holding each other on top of, like, you know, a Gotham street with the you know, the lantern in the background. I do like that. I do have a little bit of certain nitpicks with the sculpt this time around, but overall I'm always a fan of Wicked. So let's move away from DC and go on over to Marvel and a new group. And this is the one that I was talking about in the intro. This is Epic Props, and they're doing a lot of Spider-Man stuff right now. So I wanted to showcase that. So our first character that we're going to look at is Green Goblin. And I'm going to just quickly go through these because they're not the greatest images, but I do think the sculpts look fantastic, and I do like the concept overall of all the villains that they're doing, as well as the heroes. So we have Green Goblin on top of his glider, kind of like crashing, you know, on the top of some type of building. Looks like maybe like a chimney or, you know, some type of smokestack. It's got the electric wires all busted up. So that looks really cool. You know, he's got the pumpkin bomb in his hand. So here's another angle of how that looks. And again, I'm just going to go through them really quickly because, like I said, they're not the greatest photos. I'll see if I have a few of them more up close. But overall, I like the sculpt. I like the textures that they went with, and I think it looks really good. So here's an up-close look at his face, the portrait. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. Really cool looking. So really nice work. Let's see, what else do we have? So that was it for Green Goblin. But like I said, they're working on a bunch of villains. And if you follow the statue groups, you've probably seen this one being painted up by a few painters. This was Sandman. So this one looks really cool. I've seen this one painted and printed. obviously. So I know their work is, pretty top notch when it comes to sculpting. So can't really go by the photos, but they do some great work. So here's that Sandman. I absolutely love the concept of this. I love the pose of it. I just love the whole, the way this whole thing flows. And it looks really awesome. So it has a little nod on the sewer cap to ASM4, Amazing Spider-Man #4, which I'm assuming was his first appearance. So here's another photo of Sandman. So I believe he has a swap out for his arm with the giant, that big hammer fist. Here's a up close photo of his portrait. Again, looks really good. And just really quick, here's a look at him from behind. So it's a really cool sculpt. We also have Electro. So again, this is all by Epic Prop. Like I said, they're working on all these Spider-Man villains. So we have Electro. Again, looks really cool. I'm assuming, you got a lot of those electricity things running through the air, which is going to be a little, fragile to print, but looks really cool. So we'll go through the photos of that. Here he is from behind. So again, looks really nice. Quickly scrolling through the photos. We have a few more angles, pretty much, the same thing. Very simple, but looks, it's a really nice sculpt. Here's an up-close shot of his portrait. Again, it looks really great. You can now see more of the textures on his suit, as well as more of the, the details going on as, inside the portrait. So I really like what they're doing here. The next character that they're also working on is Vulture. And right off the bat, here's an up-close photo of Vulture's portrait. Absolutely looks fantastic to me. I love the expression on his face. You can immediately tell who it is. So I think that came out really good. Here he is overall, full figure. I really like the concept with him standing on top of the, the gargoyle type base like that with the broken, bricks. So I think that looks really nice. You got the wings, flowing downwards. So really cool concept. Here's another angle of Vulture. Let's see, is this, I believe, yep, this goes to Vulture. So we have him holding Spider-Man's mask in his hand in this picture. So really cool concept. Let's see if I have any other photos. All right, that was it for Vulture. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is going to be Venom. So let's see, let's go with this one. So it's a very bulky looking Venom. I don't know if I love Venom as much as I love the way they did the other villains, but it's basically, Venom on top of, some type of rooftop crushing everything from his weight. Let's see if we have some other angles here. So here's another angle more from the side. He's shooting out the web. I mean, it's not my favorite Venom statue, but I think overall it's a nice job. So it looks cool. He's very bulky looking in this. Let's see, who else do we have? Here he is from behind. So you get to see the back of him. So it's not my favorite. I mean, I've seen better Venoms. I think the sculpt is good. It doesn't wow me overall, but I think it does look good. I mean, I don't hate it. So that's it for Venom. I think I have one random photo of Carnage. This must have been from a previous month. So I just wanted to pop it into the photos just to show you they're working on lots of villains as far as Spider-Man goes. So a lot going on with Carnage, and you can see all the tendrils just wrapping around that weapon. The sculpt looks absolutely insane. So that's it for Carnage. Just have that one photo. Who else do we have? I think that's it for the villains, and then we have Spider-Man himself. So let's start with this one here. So it's Spider-Man on top of a gravestone. It says, "Here lies Otto Octavius," which is obviously Dr. Octopus. This is, let's see. So I really like the textures as far as the suit goes. I like the pose. I'm always a fan of Spider-Man when he's crouched down like that. I believe this is Iron Spider. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. He's got the large web tentacles, coming off of the body, those robotic arms. I believe it's been a while since I've been up to date on Spider-Man's, not so much his story, but his terminology. I believe it's the the hell I said, whatever I said it was, I already forgot. But here's another angle from above. So it's a cool concept. It would be a small piece. You know, it's Spider-Man. He's a small character. He's crouched down. So this one's not going to take up too much space. And then we have, you know, just that front-facing angle of him. Looks really good. I really like the Spider-Man overall. It'd be cool to have the option without those, you know, giant spider legs coming off of his body if you just wanted to do him like just like as a regular Spider-Man character. So I'm sure that is an option, you know, if you didn't want to print them and attach them. You know, you could have your painter just, you know, fill in the gaps in the back of his body, or your, you know, your printer, you know, fill in those gaps. So let's see. So that's it for, I believe, Epic Props. Well, actually, no, we have a few photos of his portrait up close. So here's Spider-Man again. Again, the suit design, I'm assuming, is a little bit different. So, you know, it's not your, you know, ordinary Spider-Man. It does go to Iron Spider. That's the name I was trying to think of. Iron Spider. So, you know, that's the character you're getting as far as, you know, it is for Spider-Man. I think they are doing a regular Spider-Man as well, if I remember correctly. And I think they're also doing a black suit Spider-Man. So I would have to check. I don't have the photos of everything. A lot of these photos are from previous months, but I just wanted to show you guys that they're working on a whole bunch of Spider-Man villains as well as Spider-Man characters and heroes. So really cool that they're like all into the, you know, the Spider-Man universe and that line. So let's move on to another company and character. And our next character comes from a studio called CAD, or CA3D Studios. I only have a few photos of her. This is Tifa. So here she is from the front. You know, she's got that giant, you know, blade weapon in the back. And from what I heard, that is not the weapon that goes to this character. So there is an option to print this without the weapon if you're unhappy that she has that weapon in her hand. So there is an option for that if you don't like the weapon. But overall, I'm not too familiar with the character, so I'm not going to say whether it looks like her or not, or what's accurate and what's not accurate. But overall, I think she looks absolutely beautiful. I'm digging the, you know, design of the, you know, her costume and everything, and the base. The whole thing looks really cool to me. Let's see. I believe I have a few photos of her. So here she is from another angle, so you get to see more of that giant blade, as well as her portrait here. And then the last angle is going to be an up-close shot of her portrait. So it's nicely sculpted. You know, we're looking at color renders, so I'm digging the colors of her. And like I said, I don't know much about the character. I'm assuming this is some type of like anime or, you know, gaming type character. Reminds me a lot of Magic from X-Men with that giant blade. But yeah, looks really cool. So we have that from CAD Studio. And speaking of X-Men and also from CAD Studio or CA3D Studio, we have Psylocke. So I absolutely love this sculpt right here. I've seen a lot of Psylocke statues, I should say. And some of them I love and some of them I have issues with. This one, I really just love the whole entire, you know, concept of it. Again, it reminds me a little bit of Sideshow Collectibles and what they did with the character, but I think it looks really cool. You know, you have the energy effect on the base, you know, wrapping upwards. You know, she has the, you know, the power in her hand, you know, that weapon, that, you know, that energy blade, as well as the katana in the other hand. Overall, you know, she has a nice fierce look to her face. I think they did a great job as far as the sculpt and the pose and the, you know, expression goes. So the whole entire thing looks absolutely fantastic to me. Even just looking at the, you know, like the sash, the ribbon wrapped around her waist, looks very real to me. So great job sculpting that. Got a few, you know, very subtle hints of folds in the fabric, which I like. Keeps the suit looking nice and tight on the body, but gives the illusion that there is, you know, some type of fabric there. So again, just a few photos of her. She's very simple, you know, museum style pose. Here she is from another angle, this time from the other side. So you see a little bit more of our, oh, here we go. I have one from behind. So here we have the, you know, behind image of what she looks like. And again, I really like the way it's like a walking pose. And again, it reminds me a lot of the Sideshow Collectibles, but I think it's a cool option. If you're looking at, you know, if you don't want to spend the money on an expensive statue, you can, you know, go ahead and 3D print this yourself. So really cool. It'd be cool to do the base maybe like in a translucent resin, same with you know, the energy effect on her hand. So that's a cool option. We have another one from CAD Studio. This is Afro Jack Samurai, or Afro Samurai, I believe his name is. Sorry. So here's an up close, not up close, but here's an upfront image. So pretty cool with the base. You know, you have the blades going into the base with blood dripping down everywhere. Obviously, this is a color render, but I know of the character. I'm just not familiar of his story, but I do know the way he looks, and he looks pretty accurate to me, and I'm happy with the way he looks. So I think he came out really cool. So I have a few photos of him. Here he is from the side. So really cool, you know, flow with the, you know, the bandana draping forward as well as his hair. I think it captures the character perfectly. I really like the blood on the sword, but again, like obviously this is you know, color renders. They're making it look a little bit better than what it would look you know, painted in real life. And let's see, I believe we have a few more. Here's an up close shot of the portrait. So cool, really cool expression on his face. He's got that badass attitude expression. I like the way they sculpted the hair. It looks good. So really cool statue. Really cool, you know, print in general. And then let's see, we have one more from CA3D Studio. This one's actually Snow White from Disney. We have a Disney statue this month. So there's a lot going on this month with where I'm seeing artists borrowing or stealing. I don't know if it's stealing or is it borrowing, and I'm going to show you in a second what I'm talking about. So this is Snow White. This looks really fantastic, except the same thing. Sideshow Collectibles did this already with Alice in Wonderland. It was by J. Scott Campbell, the Fantasy you know, Land series or Fantasy series, whatever his line is called. So they pretty much just ripped Alice in Wonderland and turned it into a Snow White statue. So I guess you could say it's an homage. At least they didn't like rip the entire like head sculpt the way Wicked did with Batman from Sideshow. So I guess you could say it's more like an homage to the Alice in Wonderland. And again, I'll post a little thumbnail in the video so you can see what I'm talking about. It's the same pose, it's the same concept, except it's Snow White. So we'll quickly go through these. You know, she's sitting on a tree stump. The apple is half eaten, or doesn't even look like it was eaten actually. It just looks like it's split open. So here's an up close, a little bit more of an up close shot of her. Looks really good. Overall, I think it looks fantastic. It just reminds me a lot of the Alice in Wonderland. But here she is from behind. So really cool option. And here's some of the grayscale renders of when they were working on it, when I believe it was just still like a work in progress. So it's really nicely done. It's just, you know, they might have stolen a little bit of inspiration from someone else on that one. All right, so that was Snow White, aka Alice in Wonderland. Let's move on to another studio. Let's go on over to Wicked again. This time we have Arnold Schwarzenegger from The Predator. So let's see which one. I have a lot of images from Arnold, and there's a lot of different ways to display this. So I'm going to quickly go through them. So let's just start off with the very first one of the two of them together. So let's see. Okay, so here's the two of them together. Like I said, I apologize because I have a lot of images of these two. So we're going to quickly go through it. It's Arnold. He's holding, you know, his machine gun with a grenade launcher on it, and you have the Predator standing up above him on the tree stump, or the tree trunk, I should say. Overall, again, these are colored renders. I think the Predator looks awesome. I think Arnold looks awesome. I'm very happy with the sculpt. I have no problem with the sculpt on anything. I think the tree looks awesome. I don't know if I love the concept. It kind of looks like they're teammates working together, the way they're both facing the same direction. It doesn't remind me of Arnold fighting the Predator. It looks more like they're teaming up about to fight somebody else. So, I mean, I get what they're going for. You know, there's only so much you can do, but this is why we have options. They give you other options if you don't like this concept with him, you know, with them both on top of the base facing the same direction. So let's scroll through these photos. Like, again, there's a lot of them. So here's a grayscale render of Arnold's face. You know, doing actor likeness is very tricky. I think they did an okay job. I could tell who it is. I could tell it's Dutch from the early days of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the way he looked. I don't think it's dead on Arnold, but I think it's close enough that you can tell who it is. So it looks really good. You know, you got a lot going on with the different textures. So that was an up close, shot of the grayscale of his face. Moving through the photos, here's a look at the back of the statue. So again, we can see, the back of Predator. He kind of, from this angle, he looks like he's going to pounce on top of Arnold, but obviously this isn't the angle you're going to display it from. But they're showing you, the Predator on top of the tree. He's got his trophies hanging down with all the, the leaves and the foliage. So that looks really cool. So let's quickly scroll through these because there's a lot of different angles. Here's the side profile angle. So as you can see, Arnold's in the front. So this piece is going to have a lot of depth to it because you have two characters now, standing on top of a base. So quickly scroll through these, some up close shots. The Predator looks absolutely fantastic. I really love the way they sculpted the Predator. So he looks really cool. Here's an up-close shot of just Arnold by himself holding the, the grenades and the machine gun. So overall, you can tell who it is. Looks good. I'm going to quickly scroll between color and grayscale renders. This way, we get a little back and back to see, back and forth, I should say, to see the difference between the color and the grayscale. So we can see the sculpt a little bit better. So here's an up-close shot of Arnold from the side. The hair's nicely done. I like the way they sculpted the hair. So that's the grayscale. Again, more grayscale renders of Arnold up close with the machine gun. Looks really good. Again, if you see the scale, it says 1/6. It could be printed in any scale. So don't worry about the size. You can make this quarter scale. You can make it third scale if you wanted to. So that's enough. I mean, we have so many images of that. Let's skip around to something else because there are a lot of different ways you can display this. So for example, here's a grayscale render of just the Predator by himself on the top of the tree. So I prefer this much better. I kind of like him by himself. The only thing is you're getting a lot of tree with this pose, being he's by himself. The tree is very tall. So I don't know if I love the idea that he's like that. I mean, I get what they're going for. You want him to look like he's high up in the air. But they also give you the option, if you don't like what I'm saying right now, with him being that up high, they give you the option to where you can display him lower on the tree to where the tree isn't so high. So let me see if I can find that photo. Here it is. All right, so here's him again now on top of the tree, but it's a lower, base. The tree isn't so high up in the air. Because I don't know about you guys, but I like to collect larger scale statues. I like quarter scale, third scale. And to have to print the Predator, in that size with the tree that big, it would take up so much room. So I like the option of him lower on the tree, on the base. So it's cool that they give you that option and that they thought of that. So this looks a lot better to me. I mean, they probably could add a little bit more tree, but I'm not going to be, beggars can't be choosers. So I do like this concept a lot better where he's lower on the tree. This way, focus is more on the character and not like this giant tree in the picture. So we'll quickly scroll through these. So this is, again, just the grayscale renders of Predator by himself on top of the larger tree trunk from different angles. Looks really cool with all the weapons and, futuristic stuff going on with his, all of his gadgets and weapons on his body. So again, scrolling through these photos. Here's an up-close look at the, that detonator he uses in the movie where it opens up and he blows up everything. So that looks really good with all the little details and the metal spring. Here's a look at these are all the grayscale renders. So here's a look at him holding, the skull with the spine ripped out, one of his trophies. So that looks really nicely sculpted. And let's see, what else do we have? So we have those options. Again, we have different options available to look at as far as color and grayscale go. So here's a few more of the colored Or I should say, here's a few more views of it in color of how it's looking. So it's going to look really nice once it's all painted up. So now, if you didn't like that overall concept of him holding the machine gun, you also have this option. Here he is. Now we have Arnold without the machine gun. Arnold has his shirt off. He's covered in mud, and he's raising the torch up in the air, and it's lit up. It's on fire. So with this, you get the mud is already on the body. It's like sculpted onto his body. I don't know if I love that they did that or not. I guess it would come down to when, you have to paint it, whether you like to sit there and, paint all those little tiny sculpts of mud, or if you would have just, edited it on yourself without it being sculpted on. So I do have some up close shots of him covered in the mud. So here's what I'm talking about. So you have that grayscale render now, up close photo with him just, covered in all of the mud. So, I mean, it looks cool because it has like leaves and stuff on there too. So I guess it works. It's going to be a lot of fine detailing when you have to go paint that though. So keep that in mind. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I like this one a little bit more, I think, than him holding the machine gun. I like the expression, like the rage in his face. So it looks really cool. Here's an up close shot of just a portrait covered in mud. So again, I really like the way they did the hair, because the hair reminds me a lot of the way the hair looked in the movie. It was like very soft and short and fluffy looking. So really cool. If you didn't like that option, they also give you the option to have Arnold just by himself. This way you don't have to have the Predator in the background. So here's the grayscale render of Arnold just holding the torch up in the air. So I like this one. Like I said, I like them by themselves. I don't like them together on the base. To me, like I said, it looks more like they're a team. So I think we spent enough on Arnold and the Predator here. So I'll quickly scroll through the photos and let's get on to the next character. And then, like Wicked always does, is if you don't like the full figure, they do give you a bust option. So here's Arnold covered in the mud, and again, I'll go through it quickly. He's just bust form. It's half of his body on top of a base. So you get that with him holding the torch. Looks pretty cool. And then you also have the option for just the Predator as a bust on the base. So here's a look at the Predator. So really cool options. If you didn't want the full figure, you can print just out the bust by itself, which takes up less room. So different angles here of the back of the bust of the Predator. Looks really good with the skulls and the spine. The hair looks really good with the dreads. All right, moving on to the next character, and it actually includes one of the characters we were just looking at, and I'm going to go through it real quick because it's kind of hard to make out, but it's the Predator now fighting Alien from Aliens. So this looks really cool. I like the concept. So we'll quickly go through this because I think we spent enough time on Predator today, and I don't want to take up too much time because I do have a few more characters to get to. So just quickly scrolling through this, it's the Predator versus Alien. It's another diorama of two characters fighting each other. So I think it looks good. I don't see anything I don't like about it. So it looks really cool. So that's another option for printing. And again, this is by Wicked. Predator versus Alien. All right, let's get on to another character. So the next character is also by CA3D or CAD Studios. We're going back and forth here a little bit between the studios to mix it up. But yeah, this is Guts. Looks really cool. I only have a few photos of this, but I absolutely love the sculpt of this. I believe this is still a work in progress, so it's not even fully done yet. But we have Guts, with the giant sword going through the monster on the base. It looks absolutely crazy looking. It's like a giant mouth with, arms coming out of it. So really creepy looking. And again, I only have a few photos of him. So here's another angle. But overall, looks really cool. I like the flow of the cape. Everything looks really great to me. And if this is a work in progress, I'm assuming it's almost done because it looks absolutely fantastic the way it is. So they're probably just making some minor tweaks to it. Here's the gray renders, so we can see this, the sculpt a little bit better with all the weapons and everything on them. So came out really good. So different grayscale renders you can see. Okay, so moving on to the next character, and again, I only have a few photos. I believe these are also work in progress, and it's also by CAD or CA3D Studios. This is Lich, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's Lich. I do not know anything about this character, but he looks really cool looking. So we'll quickly go through this. This is new this month. So really big character, really bulky looking, has tons of armor with different, skulls in the armor. Really cool looking. Really digging this. So I think after this, I'm actually going to look into this because I really like the character. I want to know more about him. Or if you want to leave a comment below, if you know who it is, drop a comment. Let me know where he's from. But here he is from behind. Really nice job with the cape. Looks really cool the way it's flowing. So no complaints there. And here's the breakdown. Again, like I say in every video, I love when the studios include this right up, up front without downloading anything. I like seeing the breakdown. So each color represents how a different part is printed. And this is the breakdown of, the parts as you print them out. So each color is a different part when you go to print it. So it kind of just gives you an idea of how to set it up, on the printer. This is where like the leg is broken down into 2 pieces. The weapon is 1 piece and all that. The portrait's 1 piece. So gives you an idea if it's going to fit on your, your printer or not, if you're, printing big. So I like that. So that was Lich or Leech, Lich. And then we have one more work in progress from CAD Studio. This is Orin, I believe her name is. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, Orin, the Red. Orin, the Red. And this is, like I said, this is also a work in progress, but it's already looking absolutely fantastic to me. Again, don't know anything about this character, but she looks cool. I love fantasy style characters. So I have a few images of her. She's still a work in progress, but I'm digging the concept, and the sculpt looks great from overall. So, snakes going through the skulls. Here's a look at her from behind, with the very long hair. So really cool. Again, I don't know these characters. I'm going to try to look them up and learn more about them because I think they look really awesome, and I wouldn't mind printing these myself. So here's a look at Orin. Okay, let's move on to a few characters I am familiar with. So this month we also have another Hulk statue. This one is by Zez, Z-E-Z Studios, Zez Studios. And again, like I said, this is Hulk. So we have this, animalistic looking Hulk. He's crouched down, looking like he's ready to strike, or he just struck the ground, did his, Hulk smash type pose thing there. I really like the base. Looks really good. You got the, the vials of like the juice or whatever you want to call it, going around the base there. The overall sculpt of Hulk looks really great. He's big, but not overly big. Like the veins going through his body and the texture and everything. So I have a few photos of him, and he has a few different options as far as the portrait goes. So we have the more, older classic looking Hulk portrait. So here's another image of him up close, smashing the rocks. So I'm a fan of this portrait right here. But if you don't like that, you do have a different portrait. We have this one here. Looks a little bit more human. To me, I don't like this whatsoever. He just looks a little bit silly to me with that portrait on the body, the way he's posed like that. I don't know. It just looks a little funny to me. But even like the textures, like the texture in his body kind of don't match up to the textures in the face on this. So it's something looks a little off to me that I don't like this portrait. But that's good that they give you options. If you don't like that one, you could use the the more classic style looking Hulk here. So again, this is available on Patreon by Zez Studios. Looks really cool. And then we also have a side-by-side of the 2 profiles that you could choose from. This is in the grayscale. Looks a little better here as far as the textures go. Maybe that's something they could still work on, or can be adjusted with the paint. Again, we were looking at color renders before. So here's the grayscale renders of the 2 portraits. And then I have a few grayscale renders of just the overall statue in general. So, here's that classic look from behind. Looks really good. It's got a lot of weathering and rips in the pants. Here's the one that looks a little bit more like the movie portrait to me in grayscale. So different options. Looks really good. So that's Hulk by Zez Studios. Let's see. Also by Zez Studios is a new Venom. So here's a Venom statue, and again we have the color render. Looks really cool. I really like the pose on the Venom, so we'll start with the color renders, and then I also have the grayscale renders. The grayscale renders, in my opinion, look better on this one. The colors are a little strange looking, but it gives you an idea how it's going to look painted up. So he does have a switch out. If you didn't want the full Venom portrait, he has the transformation head to where he's transforming into Eddie Brock. So that looks pretty cool. Personally, I kind of like the full Venom face versus that the switch out Venom Eddie Brock head. Just think it looks better overall. So we'll quickly scroll through the colored renders here. Here's a look at him from behind. So really nice. If anybody wants one of these painted, I've been wanting to paint a Venom for a really long time, and it's something that could be painted quickly. I know I can, knock it out really quick, so I have time for that right now. So if you want a Venom painted, contact me in the description down below. But yeah, here's a better up-close look at the colored portrait of the transformation face. Looks really good. I think that the issue with the colored renders is it looks like it's very high glossed, so it's kind of hard to see everything. But we're going to look at the grayscale renders so we can get a better look at the details in the sculpt. But yeah, it looks really good as far as the transformation portrait looks good. I prefer, I think, the Venom head. Let's get over to the grayscale renders. Okay, so here are the same images, this time now in grayscale, or sometimes they call them like the clay renders. It looks more of like, like what it would look like in ZBrush as the artist was sculpting it. So from here, this looks way better. Now you can really see what's going on with the body, and it looks absolutely fantastic. The textures on him are absolutely insane. And this is what I go back to saying is I don't like looking at color renders because it hides all of that. When it was all glossed out, you didn't see all of these little textures and, the symbiote running through his body the way it did in the color. So looking at the grayscale looks really fantastic. I really like the sculpt of this a lot. He's got the saliva dripping off of the tongue. So that was the promo image with the Venom font. So here's an up-close look at the switch-out head. Again, it looks a lot better here. You can now see more of the sculpt. So really cool option. Here he is from behind, again, with the grayscale render. It says, "You are a loser, Eddie." So it looks really cool. I like the base. A lot of, almost looks like a sandy texture. There's a very, very fine details as far as like the texture goes in the base. So I'm not sure what he's supposed to be on top of. It looks like maybe like a sewer, but really cool splash effect coming off of the base as well. Let me see if I have some better angles here. Yeah, it's like a sewer grade he's standing on, or some type of like, pipe with, bars in front of it. So I really like the overall pose and concept of this piece. Here he is from the side, so you get to see, the giant big biceps on him. Again, the muscles and everything looks really great on this. So yeah, that was Venom. Like I said, if anybody wants one of those painted or even printed, hit me up. I would love to work on one of those. So that's going to do it for the photos. I think we had like over 200 photos or close to 200 photos, so I apologize. I'm going to leave you guys on this image here as a teaser for next month. So this is X23, and this is going to be by Wicked. This is their next month's term of what they're working on. So we have X23. Jumping off of a Sentinel type style base. Looks really cool. And the last image they leave us with is it has two portraits. So you have the portrait without the the cowl, the mask on her face. Looks really cool so far. It's just a teaser, color rendition, so I'm not sure if it'll look like that. Looks like they just might have taken that image off of the internet. But yeah, it also has the option for a simple and complex base. So if you don't like the giant base, there'll be a switch out base to give you a smaller footprint. So really cool. So we'll look at that for next month, X23. Maybe we'll start off with her. But yeah, guys, thanks for spending time with me looking at the files today. And again, if you need anything printed or painted, my info is in the video description down below. If you enjoy these types of videos and enjoy looking at the files with me and want to keep these videos going, let me know in the comments. It helps if you leave the video a thumbs up, and if anybody that wants to subscribe, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification so you're notified of future videos. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time in next month's video of the new premieres of what's coming out, and as well as I have other projects in the work with painting and doing repairs. So see you next time.